is Lux, and over the next 10 hours, I'm gonna learn how to play her. The plan is simple: try her in normals, research how to improve, and finally play her in ranked. Throughout this video, I'm gonna have some highs and a lot of lows. Let's see how I do. So you're probably wondering, Ecor, how do you get so freaking good at these champions in just 10 hours? Well, it's because of today's sponsor, Porofessor. It is a free app that gives you all of the information that you need to help you just focus on your gameplay. What do I mean by this? Well, it gives you information during champ select on what you and your team is good at, so you know what your win condition can be. During the loading screen, it tells you what your opponent's team is good and bad at, so you know what you need to play around, and then during the game, you can keep track of summoner spells so you know when to go in, when to hold back, and it gives you your stats on like CS per minute and your level, and compares it to other people of around your rank. Honestly, I've used this app before they even started sponsoring me. It's just a great way for me to help focus on the game and not be all over the place. It's free. Check out the link in the description if you want to use it. It's really helpful. To start, I needed to look up the most common build and runes for Lux for both mid and support. This will be important later. Basically, if you're going mid, go First Strike for scaling and damage, and if you're support, take Arcane Comet for poke and lane. For your build, both roles build pretty much the same. Your mythic is usually Ludens, and the rest of your build is typical long-range mage stuff, you know, like Deathcap, Shadow Flame, Hourglass, stuff like that. You can also build Medjais, but it's a little bit risky. Only build that if you're ahead. My first game did not go very well at all. And after dying a bunch, I realized I use my Q way too aggressively. Basically, as soon as I waste my Q, there's nothing stopping my opponent from just jumping in and killing me. Luckily this game, Graves was able to 1v4 during the final dragon fight, and after completely destroying the enemy team, they just surrendered. But my next game somehow went even worse for me. Honestly, a lot of my issues were caused by my own bad plays. Bad map awareness and just not realizing how squishy I am led to a lot of early deaths. So yeah, we lost this game pretty quickly. And I wish I could say game 3 started off better, but that would be a lie. But I swear, this game I didn't actually feed. Eventually I started helping out in fights, and after landing a few Qs in a row, we actually managed to win our first team fight. And our comeback continued after I got a huge flank in our next big team fight. Unfortunately, my Q only hit MF, I missed Warwick, but luckily it didn't matter. Then the enemy team tried to do Baron after winning a huge team fight, but Cho'Gath and I weren't gonna let that happen. Not only did we steal Baron, but we also got 2 kills. And then we won another fight after catching out the enemy Galio. At this point, Cho'Gath was an unkillable monster who could just walk at the enemy team with no fear, so our win was pretty much guaranteed. And a few minutes later, we barely won another fight. I actually played this fight super badly. I just sat in MF's ult the whole time. I should have flashed way sooner, but we barely managed to win because of Cho'Gath. Seriously, I basically tanked this entire MF ult like an idiot. Why didn't I just flash away? But in typical League of Legends fashion, our super fed Cho'Gath got caught top lane. Then the enemy team got Baron, Dragon Soul, and killed the rest of us a few seconds later. And just like that, we lost this game too. So after a few disappointing games on Lux, I went to YouTube to look up some guides. The main things I learned were 1. Don't just throw out my Q. Use it to follow up other CC or surprise the enemy from out of vision. 2. I was playing around my First Strike way too much early game. Basically, I was walking up to start bad fights just to get First Strike off. 3. I have to play way safer in lane because I have no mobility, which means one wrong move means I die instantly. And 4. Using my ult to clear waves and roam is a great way to open up the map and force your lane opponent to just farm under tower. With this extra knowledge under my belt, my final normal game got off to a great start. And it only got better from there after getting a solo kill on Victor. In this game, nothing could stop me. I did so much damage, we were able to get picks and win fights before the enemy could even react. So yeah, I went off and got a couple more kills. And then at around the 24-minute mark, I realized just how much damage Lux can do. Seriously, where the fuck did the enemy bot lane go? This is way too much damage. Then we won another fight where I got a couple more kills, and there was nothing the enemy could do with the amount of damage I was doing. I'm starting to feel a little bad for the Melio this game. But out of nowhere, my entire team died and the enemy team started doing Baron. So I just stole it and got the fuck out of there. And after getting one more kill on Melio,
I hope he knows he's dead.
we just won the game. And with that, I was on to some ranked games. So after an amazing game 4, there was no way I would lose game 5, right? Wrong. It all started with a weird Darius gank. I think he was trying to make sure the enemy team didn't dive me, but he went in a little bit too far. And since I didn't want to fight in the first place, I showed up late, lost the Yasuo kill, and then ended up dying myself. Luckily, the enemy Swain walked up a little too far, and I managed to get a pick, bringing me back into the game. A little later, Darius went in on another fight that was less than ideal. At least we got a kill this time. And just when the enemy team got Baron and it all seemed lost, I got a great Q from behind a wall and actually managed to win a big team fight. And then we won another huge fight. I used my ult a little bit too early on MF, but in the end, it didn't matter. We killed 4 of them without losing a single member of our team, and the comeback actually was starting to look possible. Until a few minutes later when we immediately lost a fight in our base. So after a mediocre first game with some ups and downs, I went into my next game cautiously optimistic, just to immediately die because I have no map awareness. But it's okay, after about 15 minutes of farming, I got pretty strong and there was a fight in the mid lane where I actually did something. And by actually did something, I mean almost died not once, but twice. In the end, this game was a bit of a team diff. My Caitlyn was able to literally 3-shot the enemy Briar, so it was pretty much a wrap. But hey, sometimes you win games because you have the better team. And I sucked my next game too. I'm gonna be totally honest with you, this is the most tilted I have been during one of these challenges. I didn't even want to finish it. Obviously, I was playing Lux badly, but I just felt like her kit didn't match up to other mid laners very well. No matter what I did, it just felt like other mid laners had really good mobility, which made it impossible to land skill shots, or just way longer range and they can kill me from almost off my screen. And I'll admit, I probably should have taken a break at this point before playing my next game. And after feeding for my 4th game in a row, that's exactly what I did after this loss. I took a much needed break. So after getting off for the night and getting on the next day refreshed, I immediately started having better results. Not only was I winning lane, but I was also roaming and helping my bot lane get kills too. Then there was a big fight bot lane where I TP'd. If I positioned a little better, this Jarvan ult would have been a crazy wombo combo with me, but at least we managed to go 2 for 2 here. But unfortunately after that, we decided to fight a 4v5, and even though Xayah went crazy, it just wasn't enough to win the fight without Ornn. Luckily, we managed to bounce back in the next big team fight a few minutes later. This fight was pure chaos. Jarvan dove deep into the enemy team trying to kill the Aphelios, and the enemy Camille did the same thing to us trying to kill Xayah. Then, while we were trying to finish off Aphelios, Katarina had time to back and then TP back into the fight, and somehow I barely managed to kill her in the end. And even though the game was super close, it unfortunately came down to one single team fight at the end, which we ended up losing. I will admit in this final fight, I panicked a little bit and just threw out my abilities without aiming, but even though I didn't do too much, I don't think I'm the reason I lost the fight. We were gonna lose anyway. You know what? I was pretty happy with that last game. Sure, we didn't win, but I actually think I did pretty well other than that final fight. And my next game started off pretty well, getting an assist after a fight at Rift Herald. Then I secured a kill during a fight in the bot lane. Then Akshan and Janna tried to dive me, but luckily Senna was there to save my life after the tower died. At around the 23-minute mark, there was a big fight at Baron. It started with a pick on Janna and then a kill on Kennen off screen. Then after we started Baron, the enemy team tried to fight 3v5. We managed to win the fight, but Akshan did revive Kennen. And just when we thought all the action was over, Kennen and Janna, who died at the start of the fight by the way, came back and we managed to kill Kennen again. A few minutes after that crazy fight and not getting Baron unfortunately, we won another fight in the mid lane. And by we, I mean Hecarim. Anyway, a little after that fight, we just won the game. So it's no secret that I have hated playing Lux mid, so for the final 2 hours, I decided to try her in support, because that's the role more people play her in anyway. And without the pressure of trying to be like a carry role in the mid lane, I started playing a lot better. And because I was no longer one of the main threats on my team, all of a sudden it was a lot easier to land skill shots and be impactful in fights because people were just paying less attention to me. And even though I had less gold, I was still able to do some solid damage. Sure, I couldn't one-shot people with my ult like in that Melio game, but I was able to do a lot more damage than a normal support should be able to do. And if I landed my full combo, I was still able to 100-0 people, which is ridiculous for a support by the way. Anyway, we won the game and I was starting to realize why people like playing this champion in support. And all that doesn't even include her early kill pressure. Sure, I died here, but they were already half HP because my poke early game and Jhin got a double kill. Anyway, a little later we got another kill bot when Talon roamed from mid. I think my main issue playing Lux is just my playstyle. I am not used to playing mages like this. I normally play tanks and bruisers, so I just didn't understand how squishy I was. Around the 26-minute mark, the enemy team caught us out in a bad position with low HP, and yet somehow we were able to turn it into a pretty big one fight. After a couple throws back and forth, the enemy team managed to actually sneak Baron, and even though I accidentally walked up a little too far here, we somehow managed to win the fight even with Tristana's GA. And for the final fight, I baited the enemy team into a fight where they had no vision, and our Echo and Jhin basically just destroyed the enemy team. And just like that, another support game and another win. And the final game was absolutely crazy. It started off with an early kill on Lee Sin in 1 minute, followed by the enemy bot lane trying to cheese us in a bush, just for Kha'Zix to come and clean up 2 more kills. This Kha'Zix was 3-0 at 2 minutes. Then a minute later, we got another kill bot lane, even though Ashe had to die. Then I killed MF under her tower, and even though I died, I denied her a lot of CS and Nautilus flashed. Unfortunately, Ashe died again. But then it was time for the enemy team to get a little bit of revenge on us, so they dove us and killed Ashe, even though I was able to kill up 1 extra kill. Also, can we just take a second to appreciate that I am a support Lux absolutely deleting this poor MF? Like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, a few minutes later, we set up a trap in a bush. I baited Nautilus to hook me, and after that, we won another fight. Oh yeah, I also killed MF again too. And yeah, a few minutes later, the enemy team just surrendered. Overall, Lux felt way better in support than mid. Her lack of mobility is just so much easier to be punished in mid lane if you get ganked, and I feel like other mid laners just are way more versatile. That being said, her poke and kill pressure in support makes her great for winning lane early, and I definitely understand why so many people like playing her support. There is just a lot less pressure because you aren't a solo laner, and because of that, it allows you to land more skill shots and do a lot more damage. Let me know who you want to see next in the comments.